Hello, everybody. Today we are going to finally, I'm sitting down a few days after um, what was I just going to say? Oh my God. Finally sitting down a few days after watching this movie because, yeah, it's just been a busy week for me and I feel like I haven't really had time to sit down, just like I do most weeks. I feel like the lighting's really dark in this video, but I'm not going to pause and get back up and fix that now, so I guess we'll just kind of deal with the weird shading on my face, at least. That's what it feels like. So today we are going to review the movie Bullet Train, which is starring, holy crap, what a cast in this movie. Brad Pitt, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Handler, Andrew Koji, Hiro, or Hiroyuki Sanada, Michael Shannon, Sandra Bullock, Bad Bunny, who I haven't really heard of before, Logan Lerman, Zazie Beetz, Masi Oko, Karen Fukuyara, I think. I hope that's how you pronounce that name. And I think that's, besides like the random appearances by Ryan Reynolds and Channing Tatum. Where are they here? They got to be on here somewhere. Come on. Maybe they were uncredited. But they were in the film. So, so Brad Pitt is, I, I'm assuming he was like a contract killer or an assassin of some sort anyway. And yeah, we're gonna go with assassin. And he's trying to get back into the line of work, but he doesn't believe in, I guess, weapons anymore. Or I'm not really. I guess yeah. I guess he doesn't want to take weapons. He believes there's a more peaceful way to resolve the issues now. Um, than when he was doing the jobs back in the earlier days. So he's trying to find a new path to resolving the conflicts, right? And it's kind of funny when he gets on the train, he doesn't take the gun, even though his handler tells him that he should definitely take the gun out of the locker because he ends up running into somebody at the who was it they ran into at the train station that bumped into him, and he ends up losing the key, and then he also ends up losing his ticket for the train. He is able to keep the receipt, so he gives the receipt to the conductor once he is on the train, um, and he's able to stay on the train, luckily. So basically, this was supposed to be a simple operation of grab the briefcase, get off the train, and that was supposed to be it. But when he gets on the train, things turn sideways. Now, this movie looked like it was yeah, this movie kind of was different compared to what I thought it was going to be. Oh my God, I have the hiccups for some reason again. Because for some reason, or from what I saw in the trailers, for some reason, I don't know where my train of thought was going there. But from what we saw of the trailers, it looked like it was very just kind of like the non-stop action type stuff. But had like a comedic theme and almost like yeah, it was very yeah, comedic and very suspenseful in some parts because you never really knew kind of what was going to happen next. Yeah, with all of the people on the train that were after the briefcase. So we had two people, Tangerine and Lemon, who were obviously assassins. It seemed everybody on the train was an assassin, uh, except for the one character, Wolf, who was just basically exacting revenge what uh, for what Ladybug had done years prior to uh, him and his family. And then we find out that it wasn't even actually him in the end anyway, that it was actually the Hornet who had who had killed his family. So it was just like yeah, they were just kind of setting each other up along the way. And then we had this other character known as White Death who had been training with um, the Elder um, for years, I guess, and he was showing, yeah, the White Death showed how good of a warrior he was, so he was able to actually end up training the master of that uh, yeah, whatever art they were training in, he ended up just betraying him and taking over eventually, and proving that he was the best warrior out of all of them, I guess. So he was Russian, which I found kind of funny. And then we find find out later on in the movie that Prince, who was Joey King's character, was actually the White Death's daughter. So she claimed to be the White Death at the end when she ends up getting run over by Lemon. And you think Lemon's dead at one point. Turns out he's not, and then Tangerine actually does end up getting shot uh, by Ladybug. So it's just a huge mess of stuff that happens on the train as he goes along. And Ladybug is supposed to be he's kind of putting the pieces together as to who everybody is on the train that's trying to kill him as he goes along. Eventually he remembers who the wolf guy is, and he remembers running into Tangerine and Lemon way back in, was it, I think it was somewhere in Germany, was it not? Sorry if I'm not remembering that correctly, but I believe it was somewhere in Germany that he ran into them. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Lynchburg, wasn't it? Lynchburg, Germany was where he ran into them. I'm trying to remember that correctly. I swear to God it was Lynchburg. That's what he said. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm mistaken on that one. But I'm pretty positive that was where he was when he ran into them. And Lemon had shot him twice, but Lemon doesn't really remember him, I guess. So kind of a very messed up situation that the White Death just brought them all on to the train together, in the hopes, I guess, that they would kill one another. And Lemon and Tangerine were actually supposed to be bringing his son to him with the money in the briefcase, and then they don't know that Prince is on the train, so she's trying to infiltrate them, and she has a guard on. She has a guard on Kimura's son. But then when the elder gets on the train, he says, "Do you really think I would leave my grandson unprotected?" Right? So she ends up that plan ends up backfiring, because I guess she had pushed his grandson off of an apartment complex or something, some sort of building, in order to, I guess, kind of bring the other guy onto the train, right? Kimura onto the train. And she had some sort of other leverage over him. What was it? Oh, right. She was using him because she knew the Elder had fought with the White Death and she wanted her father dead. So she was using Kimura to kill her father. And I guess the White Death always has this thing where he kills the person with their own weapon. So that's what she was hoping would happen, because she had it rigged to blow up. And I thought when the White Death finally got onto the train, when they made it to their final stop, that he had figured out that she had rigged the gun, but I guess not. She also rigged the briefcase, so when they opened it up, they ended up blowing up themselves. And then Lemon has to figure out how to drive the train, and holy crap, the train just goes like off the rails and just absolutely just flies through like this small town or whatever. And yeah, it's just, this movie was just absolute chaos near the end of it for sure. And then the White Death dies because he takes the gun to shoot. I believe he goes to shoot. Was it Ladybug or was it the Elder? I believe it was the Elder that he went to shoot. It might have been Ladybug. I'm trying to remember the end of the movie now. Oh my God! Come on, think. He goes to shoot one of the two of them, I believe, at the end. I'm pretty sure it was one of the two of them. And then, yeah, the gun just blows up in his face, and he ends up blowing half his head off and killing himself. So yeah, his plan of getting everybody to kill one another and then him just finishing off the last of the people. Obviously, the Elder was the one that he was mainly after, I guess. Uh, Definitely backfired, and then somehow Joey King's character, yeah, Prince survives the train crash too, and then she ends up getting killed by Lemon because Lemon had actually fallen off of the train uh, earlier, and then he ends up living through that whole situation, and then gets back into the vehicle that ends up killing Prince. It was just a huge mess, and this whole entire time, Ladybug was just taking over for the other guy that was actually supposed to be on this mission, who was Ryan Reynolds' character, but I can't, for the life of me, seem to find him, so I'm thinking maybe he was uncredited for some reason. Where is he? He's got to be here. Yeah, Carver. So Carver was supposed to be the one on the mission, and it ended up being Ladybug that was on the mission. And yeah, it's just a huge messed up situation, right? So it's definitely funny. Yeah, but the action sequences in this were absolutely incredible, and every time they went to get off the train, it was just like, oh my God, come on! Like, he was off of the train at one point with Prince, and her bag got stuck, so they ended up being stuck on the train, and I really thought that was who he was going to end up teaming up with, but it turns out she was actually probably the worst out of all the people on the train, I guess, because this was mostly her plan from the beginning, from the beginning of the train ride to the end, other than obviously what her father had planned anyway. And then his son dies because I believe it was who was it that killed his son? Oh, I guess it must have been. Yeah, I guess it must have been the chick in the concession thing, because wasn't she the one in the, or was it the Hornet that was the one in the costume? I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was the Hornet, but there was one in the costume, no. But she ends up dying from snake venom, and that was just like one of the most brutal deaths, I think, because she ends up poisoning the son. Pretty sure it was, pretty sure it was her that was in the costume, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm trying to think now as to who was actually in the costume. Maybe I'm gonna have to go watch the trailer, I think, for it again, just to remember who was who. There were so many people on the train, man. It's all just kind of blurring together. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny that I said when I don't think I've uploaded it yet, but it'll be uploaded before this, I think. I'll probably do that one first, and then I'll do this, the Princess movie from Disney Plus. I think I'll upload that first. But it is kind of ironic that I did say that Joey King was fit for action movies, and then she ends up being in this. Just kind of ironic that that's how that worked out. But yeah, and I would honestly like to see a sequel to this movie. So I hope it makes over its budget that it took to film, because yeah, it would be cool to see a sequel to this movie, especially with Ryan Reynolds and Brad Pitt and all of them working together. Now, we don't really know if Joey King's character is dead, but I mean, if she is, it kind of sucks, because I would like to see them all work together. I would like to see Brad Pitt and Joey King work together in a movie. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Uh, I don't really think there's anything else I can really touch on for this movie, um, other than obviously the rating I gave it right. So I did give it an 8 out of 10, and I'm actually just going to go look and see who was in the. I'm pretty sure it shows in the trailer who was actually in the suit, because I want to remember who was actually in the suit and who killed the son, because I can't remember whether it was. Yeah, who is it? It's going to bug me if I don't look it up and tell you on this review. So who was in the suit? Oh my God, ads. I hate ads so much on YouTube, don't you guys? Um, especially the double ones where you can't skip them. It just really annoys me. I'm just gonna kind of rant a little bit here while I'm looking this up just to figure out who was actually in the suit. Okay, show me, show me, show me. Who was in the suit? It should show me here in a second, I would imagine. Yeah, the fighting scenes that were absolutely excellent in this, and brutal too, man. Like, really brutal. Um, yeah, and lots of the Hollywood explosions that you would expect in a lot of these films. Oh no, so okay, so it was a concession stand girl that killed. I believe that killed, yeah, the son. Obviously, because she was the one that ended up dying from snake venom in the end, and he took the anti-venom and then got bit by the snake, so he was lucky and survived. Ladybug was lucky and survived, right? I forgot about that part. And then, yeah, it's kind of cool to see Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt team up for a second time, because they did team up for a little bit of the movie in The Lost City, so it was cool to see them to work together again, and I think they have really good chemistry on screen. So yeah, awesome to see them working together again. And I think that's probably about it. Oh, Sandra Bullock played Maria, I guess was her name. Although she was kind of more like a secondary character until the very end of the film, right? Which I find kind of funny. And seeing Ryan Reynolds in this film was interesting too, because I guess technically this is the second time Ryan Reynolds and Brad Pitt have worked together too, because Brad Pitt was in Deadpool 2. So yeah, and I think I did say my rating. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Um, yeah, I just thought it was deserving of an 8 out of 10. It wasn't quite a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I just felt like some parts, yeah, it just wasn't what I was, yeah, it was kind of different from what I was expecting. Still a good movie, but I don't really think there was anything bad special effects wise. Maybe the ending sequence was kind of looked a little, was maybe the most over the top out of all of them, I guess. Like kind of like how any of them have actually survived the train rolling like that and stuff. But yeah, other than that, the movie was good from beginning to end. Um, yeah, but just not what I was expecting out of this movie. It kind of threw me for a loop with the way the story went. I thought it was just going to be kind of like a nonstop action film, but it ended up having some kind of like some thriller elements to it as well. So kind of interesting, or at least that's kind of how it felt to me anyway. I don't really know. It's kind of, yeah, it was kind of like a weird way of telling the story, and they were like tons of flashbacks, which seems to kind of be a popular theme with films lately, where they kind of tell the story almost in a backwards way, where you start out with not knowing that much and then kind of figuring out the story as you go along, which seems kind of interesting because that's almost the exact same way The Princess went with Joey King. So, kind of interesting that she had almost like two films that she was in with the same sort of style. Hmm. maybe maybe she's just meant for movies with a good story. Because yeah, I mean both movies had a good story in them. So um, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next review, and bye bye for now.